is no one talking about Ghostblade, this Stabbomancer action skill. It is actually super insane and feels really good to use in these chaos chambers and against bosses and against really anything. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Hopefully that first little clip showed you a little bit of what this build can do, but really I mostly am here to show you guys the Ghostblade and the advantages of using the Ghostblade. I'm sure someone out there can take it to even further levels. I'm going to show you guys the full Brr-zerker Stabbo build in its entirety, skill points, gear, all that good stuff in a minute. But first, let's take a look at this Ghostblade. Now, Ghostblade is the Stabbomancer skill, and it says the Fate Maker throws out a Ghostblade which spins in place, dealing melee damage periodically to enemies nearby based on your equipped melee weapon. You can press right bumper, I don't know what it is on keyboard, while Ghostblade is active, and it causes it to teleport to the targeted location and reduces its remaining duration. So you can move it around at the cost of duration, and it has a cooldown of 37 seconds, which is fairly long, I think, in terms of action skills, but it has a 16-second duration. So when they fix a lot of the bugs like action skill active and things like that, I feel like these action skills that stick around for a little bit of time are going to start to become more frequent, and Ghostblade is a really great one. So what we do here is pop down the Ghostblade. It comes out and it's a little blade like this, and as you can see, we're enraged because we are Brr-zerker as well. And then you could see the numbers just kind of start ticking away, and it's going to give us frost damage because we're enraged, because that's the Brr-zerker. It's going to give us whatever damage our melee weapon is, which in this case is solar, but you could always use a different element. I don't have anything on me right now, but this one, Wailing Banshee. The Banshee is the highest damage card melee weapon as far as I know, and I believe that contributes to the damage of the Ghostblade. However, I do believe that the Ghostblade takes into account attack speed, melee attack speed as well, because I notice it getting faster when I put in melee attack speed skills. I'm sure someone smarter than me can confirm or deny that, but that is there. And we're going to get a lot of tick damage just ticking away at all of these enemies. So it's a really great action skill, and you can also put it up in the air if there's an enemy, if there's a flying enemy like a wyvern or an eyeball or something. You can put it up in the air if there's an enemy up there. Now, I can't just put it up there normally, which I wonder, oh no, fake grasping. Oh no, did we just discover fake grasping? Does that work? Okay, someone smarter than me figure this out. Is that fake grasping that I just did there with the Ghostblade for Stabbomancer? Stabbomancer goes really well with a lot of different classes for elemental damage, and a lot of the clips in the beginning were co-op clips. So if you guys want to see what they're running, I can also post that as well, at least in the comments or the description or something like that. But yeah, it's really great in co-op. We've gone all the way up to Chaos 20. You can see we are in Chaos 20, level Chaos 20 mode. And the Ghostblade is just a really fun ability that scales off of melee damage, so you don't always have to be meleeing. However, if you need to melee, it's not too bad. And if you can get Caustic as one of your hilt mods here on your melee weapon, it gives you a chance. It increases your status effect chance and status effect damage by 30% for 10 seconds. So you can even push those numbers a little bit higher on the status effect damage. And then we also have this convert 30% of your damage to dark damage, just so that we get another dot on them. And it helps in some of the chaos modifiers where you have to do certain damage types and you need to break shields. All right, let's take a look at the skill tree here. We are Brr-zerker Stabbomancer. Rage of the Ancients is going to give us extra bonus frost damage when we activate our action skill. The passive for Stabbomancer is just crit chance, so that's going to help us help everything overall. I'm not exactly sure how to increase the crit chance. Sometimes it doesn't stick here on Xbox, but I'm not sure how to increase the crit chance of elemental stuff. Elemental status damage, sorry, not elemental damage, but like the tick damage. Does that make sense? Okay, anyways, Let's take a look at the skill tree. So on the Brr-zerker side, we're taking a lot of skills, a lot of skills. We're taking frost damage, we're taking melee damage, which also increases our enrage duration. We're taking unyielding for the health that regens over time. You could skip this if you want, but I feel like in higher levels, you definitely want the survivability. You could swap it out though for reload and weapon swap speed if you want, if you're using a weapon that you need to reload. We are not. If you don't have the liquid cooling, which we know everybody is using, everybody loves it. I love not having to reload, that's for sure. And since we're doing a crit chance build, it makes sense to use that liquid cooling and not have to reload. But if you're using something like the Queen's Cry, which is also a really great alternative, or even a cryo spriggan, and you need something for that reload, because sometimes you can get stuck not doing any damage because you're reloading, you could go into this as well, because it's going to be 24% while you're enraged. We're enraged a lot of the time, so it's a 24% reload speed. So if you find yourself not needing the survivability, or maybe you're in a lower level and you don't really need it as much, you can swap that into here. And then we're going to be into the old ways for bonus damage the closer we are to the enemy, and we've got bonus in there from our class item. And then we've got icebreaker for damage to enemies that are being frozen, because we're doing a lot of cryo damage, or frozen, whatever it's called. And then we've got cold snap, where our movement speed is increased, which is going to help us out in the Stabbomancer tree. But while enraged, this is actually doubled, so we're going to get 18% movement speed, and our frost efficiency is going to be 48 while we're enraged, which is really great. And then this one, blood frenzy, we're going to get our health restored every time we get a kill. That's our kill skill, and it's 9%, which is a huge chunk of health. And then we're going to go down here for our fire rate and melee attack is increased. Enrage is going to double this effect. I was thinking about maybe putting a point into blast chill as well. I don't know if this is really that good. I haven't tried it, to be honest. 20% doesn't seem like a lot, and it can't critically hit, so I didn't go into it. But I have heard some people say that it's all right. So I do have a couple class items with a 1 out of 1 into this, so I was thinking about testing it out, having it be a 2 out of 1. Because I think it will probably hit if you use the Ghost Blade, because the Ghost Blade is melee damage. So you could have Frost Novas going off wherever you put that Ghost Blade, which could be really awesome. And then we've got 5 out of 5 in our Iron Squall. I already said that. Fire rate. And then we go into the capstone for Brr-zerker, which is that your action skill cooldown is reduced by a percentage. If it's currently active, you restore a percentage of the duration. So this is going to help us keep our Ghost Blade out all the time, as much as we possibly can. And when we get a kill, when it's not out, it's going to reduce the timer. So it's super important to have that Ghost Blade up at all times, because that's going to give us a lot of our perks, and a lot of our damage comes from the action skill itself, not just proccing enchantments. So then over on the Stabbomancer side, we've got 5 into 5. We've got 5 out of 5 into potent poisons, which is going to give us status, damage, and duration. Super important. Exploit their weakness. Super important. Whenever the Fate Maker applies a status effect, the affected enemy takes increased damage from all sources for its duration. It can stack per unique status effect. So we want to put as many unique status effects on the enemy at once. That's why I'm using that. That's why I'm using that dark magic class item, because that's adding to the number of status effects. So we're doing frost, dark, and fire to every single enemy that's out there, and I feel like it's a pretty good mix. Frost, fire, and dark is a pretty good mix of elements to use against different health bars, health, armor, and shield, all that good stuff. And then we've got only 3 points into here, just because I was pretty limited on the points since we took so many in the Brr-zerker. But we have 3 points here where we're going to get a little more damage the faster we're moving. Now, we didn't take the melee attack speed and movement speed, but you could take that as well. But we are going to get movement speed over here, and it's going to be doubled when we're enraged. So I felt like this was more bang for the buck than going over here. And obviously we need a certain amount of points to get down to our capstone here. But there are some that you could take out and move over to the Stabbomancer tree if you wanted to, or move into a couple different points. But that is the base of the build. Now, I know there's so much out there. There's so many OP things out there right now, so many glitches, so many bugs, so many weird interactions that are crazy, that are causing crazy damage, that maybe this doesn't look super spectacular, but it was really fun to play. It's a really fun playstyle, and it got us all the way to Chaos 20, so it is not slacking in any aspect there. It's not going to one-shot bosses, but you will be able to take the bosses down pretty well, as you guys can see. Now, I'm going to have background footage going here so you guys can see what's going on while we talk about the different weapons and different gear and everything. And then at the end, I'm going to show a Son of a Witch boss kill, co-op boss kill. Keep in mind, a lot of this footage is in 2-man difficulty, so it's a little more difficult than a lot of the clips you're probably used to seeing with solo players. But for our melee weapon, like I said, we're using the Banshee. It has the highest item card damage. I went through a lot of the Chaos Chamber with a non-chaotic Banshee, a corrosive one. So you can definitely do that. I just got lucky. I found this chaotic solar Banshee, which is super amazing. And I'll probably use it if I ever do an actual melee build, like with Clawbringer or something like that. And it has caustic on it, which I said already is really great. And then we've got our liquid cooling. Mine is a ×2. I've got on spellcast increased frost damage. I like having on spellcast on this build because it gives me a little bit more damage when my action skill is not out, and allows me to get kills to get my action skill back out. So on my melee weapon, I have on action skill start increased damage dealt by 20%, which maybe isn't the best enchantment. I'm not really super optimized here, but we've got on spellcast increased frost damage, and then we got a Spriggan with on spellcast increased frost damage as well. And then we've got a Livewire with action skills active increased lightning damage in case I need to chain lightning to stuff, or there's a shield or something like that. Sometimes I will use this, or you can pull this out when you're actually meleeing in order to get the lightning chains. The Ghostblade does not do this effect, by the way. Even though it is melee, it will not chain. The last weapon that I have is the Queen's Cry. You can get this in the Chaos Chamber. I'm not sure where any of these dedicated drops are. If they are, I would just farm it in Chaos Chamber. I love this gun. It's super nice. You want to get one that has a bunch of under barrel thingies, so just test them out. I prefer the bigger magazine size just because I don't want to get caught reloading if I'm down, or I need to burst an enemy. I like having the high numbers. So if we do this, you can see kind of how this weapon works. It's a lot of crits all at once, and you get those little meteors that come down from the sky. So it's really nice, and we're gonna get a really high fire rate when we're raged here, so we go through the mag quite quickly, but I'm sure you could optimize some of the other stuff as well. All right, on to the gear. I've got my ring here that gives me melee damage, melee critical hit chance, melee critical hit damage, and shotgun damage, which doesn't matter. And then while in a dungeon, effects are increased. This is really great for Chaos Chamber. My other ring is gun damage, action skill duration, cooldown rate, and SMG reload speed. Now I was using this one, I think, which actually this would probably be better because it has our dungeon effects, has dark magic, which we are using dark magic, has melee and pistol crit hit damage. So that's probably better. Our class item is going to be Gladiator's Corrupted Plate Mail. We've got Brr-zerker and Stabbo. Now, I wanted to try out Stabbo up top for the 30%. However, having Brr-zerker, well, I guess we only have 30%, so we're pretty even, but having Brr-zerker more, you're going to get more bonus frost damage, so it might be better to max out your Brr-zerker power over your Stabbo. However, your Stabbo is going to contribute to your Ghostblade damage and your critical hit chance. So, you know, test it out either way, but this feels good having it kind of even. But we've got Convert 30% of Fate Maker's damage dealt to dark magic. You could also use a couple of the other ones as well, like the poison status one would be a good one, and what's the other one? The Skeep one I think would be a good one. If you find a purple that has really good passives and good points you want, then you're going to be just fine. For our shield, we've got Jacketed Hammer and Anvil. This is going to throw out a little hammer, and the hammer is going to damage nearby enemies. It deals melee damage and knocks them back. So this this shield is definitely not necessary. You could use a rune shield if you're doing this in co-op. We wanted to try out this frost rune actually today, but you could go with a rune shield. You could go with a cursed writ shield. This is going to give you more damage when your ward is depleted, but keep in mind it is a really low capacity. So if you're doing something like Chaos Chamber where you need that protection, you can definitely, then this may not be the best. You could also use the full battery to get that extra damage tick of the lightning damage onto the enemies, which is going to give you more damage towards them because they're going to have another unique status effect. That could be really great as well. So a lot of these shields could be really great. You just have to pick one. Right now I've just got the hammer and anvil because it does a little bit of extra damage. I have seen the hammers hit for like 20k, so it's not anything super crazy, but it is a nice little addition of damage. And then for our necklace, we're going to have the Thurge of Obsession. Now the only reason I'm using this, I wish that it wasn't poison damage. It almost makes me want to use a poison melee weapon, but it does have Stabbomancer and it does have 50% status effect damage. So, and it has the cooldown. So this only got one passive. So instead of getting like a bunch of different passives, like let's see, I have 2 on this one, I have 2 on this one, 2 on this one. So instead of getting 2 passives, it actually just got 1 passive. So the one on the right was the one that I was using before, which honestly I could go back to too because it does have frost damage, which is nice. But either one of these works really well. But if you can find a single passive, it's going to be a lot more. So we're getting a lot more out of our ticks with that 50% status effect damage. And then for our spell, finally, we're using a Sunder. I like the cast and forget, like set it and forget it type spells. So we're using this one just because it dropped with the Stabbomancer enchantment on it, which is going to give us the melee chance and damage while it's active, while Ghostblade is active. So you could also use some other ones. I like the Sunders personally, and I like this Calamity as well, is pretty good. This one where it like drops down and then it puts a little like that because it's gonna put dots on everything, and then you're gonna get more elemental damage. Of course, you could probably use a Buffmeister to buff your frost damage as well. I have not gotten a frost one. I only have a shock one, and to be honest with you guys, I've never equipped it because people said it was crazy busted and I didn't really want to skate through the campaign, and then I literally just got one the other day. So in the background I'm going to be showing you guys some more gameplay. I'll just let that run out and you can kind of watch and check out the build from there. But I appreciate you guys watching. I said I wasn't going to make any builds, but this is super fun, and I know it's not going to be like some glitchy crazy boss melt one shot or whatever, but hopefully it helps somebody out that wants to make just a cool fun build to play with their friends, because that's what this is, and it has a really nice survivability and nice damage. If you enjoy videos like this and you want to see me make more Wonderlands content, definitely leave a comment and a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
You know that, right?